that began from Exodium has eventually been resolved. Yes. It's the last stage in the plot of a story when all the conflicts have been resolved. That's resolution. The last stage in the plot of a story when all the conflicts have been resolved. Told you. You see it? Look at it. Stage 1 is exposition. Stage 2 is rising action. Stage 3 is what? Complication. Stage 4 is climax. Stage 5 is anticlimax. Stage 6, falling action. Stage 7, resolution. That's when all the conflicts will be resolved. When the story starts, the crisis begins here. And they are managing it. It starts increasing, it's climbing. Rising action, complication. Climax, the highest point of conflict. But it's coming to climax, falling action. And the conflict has been resolved. So resolution is the last stage in the plot of a story when all the conflicts have been resolved. That is a resolution. That's resolution. The last stage in the plot of a story when all the conflicts have been resolved. The last stage in the plot of a story when all the conflicts have been resolved. That is resolution. No more tension. All the fear which the audience or the readers have been bottling up. They've broken the bottle now. They've poured everything out. They are now free. They're now free. But when these characters are going through pain, when they go to the stage of climax, then the audience was also troubled. But the moment they got to resolution, when they got to climax, the trouble was still strong, intense, severe. When they got to climax, it begins to make sense. There's a glimpse of hope that everything will turn out for good. But we're still going through pain. And gradually, we'll get to resolution, where all the conflicts have been resolved. Then, climax. You climb up, you don't know how to jump down. Look at it. The point where the character become helpless, and you feel as if you should enter into the movie to go and rescue them. The point where they've played 3-3 in full time. Time for penalty. the point where there's confusion, the point where the man that is doing everything, father in the house, doing everything for the family, has died. The point where the problem seems unbearable, the problem seems to be without solution. The point where there's big confusion, that's climax, the highest point of conflict. It's showing, what's your problem? Move it. Highest point of conflict. Don't you hear? Simple instruction. If it means moving your chair backward, move it. So you can stretch your legs. You can move it backward. Don't put it again. Next one, I may be forced to do like this and you fall down. So shift now so that it will be easy for you. Okay. So the point of climax is the highest point of conflict when all the conflicts have been resolved. This climax also has another meaning, that is, using it as a figure of speech. Use climax as a figure of speech, that means you are presenting items in ascending order. Presenting items in ascending order. You are presenting items in ascending order. Solution should be on his feet now because you are presenting items in ascending order. Shijoko, you are presenting items in ascending order. Aha. Presenting items in ascending order. That is climax. You see, climax as a figure of speech is used when items are presented in ascending order. When items are presented in ascending, that is, they keep climbing gradually. They keep going up little by little. They keep going up. You see, I came, I saw, and I conquered. That is climax. I came, I saw, and I conquered. That is climax. Items are being presented in ascending order. The heavy downpour took the man's pair of slippers, his house, and his children. That is climax. When items are presented in ascending order, they keep moving up gradually. That is climax. You see that? So, apart from us seeing climax as the highest point of conflict in the plot of a story, it's also used as a figure of speech when items are arranged in ascending order. You see, if you read that poem, A Government Driver on His Retirement, you're going to see how it happened. They gave him a brand new car, you know, an appreciative symbol for 35 years of service to his fatherland. But now, brand new car. And he said, I'll booze and booze. I will booze and zoom myself home to this long awaited for. Now see where the climax is coming from. And so he boozed and boozed. And so he boozed and boozed, celebrating the his retirement. On his way home on wheels, boozed his vision and clear judgment. He boomed his brand new car, sent him home to rest in peace. How did it start? Started from the smallest stage. He was retired. The poet says, many years on wheels in faithful service to his fatherland. Maybe he was a chauffeur, driving the government, driving the president or the governor. He has worked well. Many years on wheels, full service to his fatherland. Today, retires he home, and a celebration he holds, which is fine. He'll be retired today. But look at it. Years as he held his bruised throat. He was a drunkard before, but he has held his throat. In fact, he tried to withhold alcohol because that's what the poet was trying to pass. That's the message. He said, many years as he held his throat of alcohol, bruised throat, in obedience to duty regulation. Today, he'll go a free man, eligible for his country's services. Maybe by the time it's true, they will retire him, they'll give him a new car, use that car as to do taxi services, use it as Uber. Then by the time you use this car as a taxi, you to convey people. You're also contributing to the growth of the nation, eligible for his country's services. But the man says, come, rejoice with me. I shall boost and zoom myself. That means he has been waiting for an opportunity. And you know what happened? He started boosting. And so he boosted and boosted, celebrating the celebration of his retirement. On his way home on wheel, boost his vision and clear judgment. Boomed his brand new car and it sent him home to rest in peace. Look at that. We see that this man started from the smallest to the highest. You see, I died. Solomon Grundy, born on Monday, christened on Tuesday, married on Wednesday, healed on Thursday, was on Friday, died on Saturday, buried on Sunday. That is climax. From the smallest to the peak, from the peak, from the smallest. That is it. You see that. Then let's look at anticlimax. Anticlimax is a figure of speech now, used when you arrange highest to the lowest, from the highest to the lowest. You see, the man's children, his house, and his pair of shoes were destroyed from the highest to the lowest. That is anticlimax. That is for figure of speech. But when you're using it as a stage in the plot of the story, and is it called turning point. When the story has reached its peak, the highest point of conflict, when it has reached the highest point of conflict, it has to drop. And as it's dropping, the next point after climax is anticlimax. You can see the story dropping. The tension is dropping. The tension is coming down. The tension is gradually. So anticlimax is also called the turning point. The turning point stage. This stage is the point whereby the tension you, the audience, is feeling from exposition, rising action, complication, climax. That tension is dropped. Call it turning point. It's reducing. Meaning that that's your fine character. That's your fine, the one you call actor that you love so much. That fine actor, kidnapped, put him in prison. He has looked for a way to escape and you are happy. Say, thank God he has escaped. Then foreign action. You see running. The people that wanted to kill him, that they fell into a pit and they could not kill him. You see, now he has seen that his child that they stole, that they kidnapped. He has taken the child. Then the story has come to an end. That is how it should be. Good story. Now you can see that anticlimax is all turning points when the tension begins to drop gradually. That is that. So don't forget that anticlimax has two meanings. Either as the fifth stage in the plot of a story, or figure of speech used when items are presented in descending order. Whereas climax can be used also twice in two ways, either as the highest point of conflict, the fourth stage in the plot of a story, or as a figure of speech when items are presented in ascending order. That is it. Then we move to, let's take this one, amphibrach. Amphibrach is a type of foot. I told you about foot. Let me see if I have foot on. Yeah, let's grab it to this place. You see, foot is a literary term. Not just a literary term, it's a poetic term. It's not a general literary term. Foot is a poetic term used when you use foot to determine the length of lines in poetry. The length of lines in poetry. Foot is used to determine the length of lines in poetry. The length of lines in poetry. How do I know? First of all, you should understand that foot is not just a word. Foot is a word or group of words with a foot is a word or group of words with either 2 or 3 syllables. A foot is a word or group with either 2 syllables or 3 syllables. You see? And foot, we know foot based on their stressed and unstressed syllable. There are foots that are feet that have only stressed syllable. Some have only unstressed syllable. Some have a combination of stressed and unstressed syllable. For amphibrach, an amphibrach is a foot and unstressed syllable followed by stressed syllable and another unstressed syllable. How? Let's say Olu will come in. Let's say Olu will come in. This will cannot receive stress. This will cannot receive stress. It's a modal verb. It will not receive stress. It's a main verb. Come is a major verb. This is what we are looking for in the sentence. It will come. Olu will come in. This in is a preposition. The stress may not be too strong. So if your statement is like this, if your statement has an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable and another unstressed syllable, it is called amphibrach. So amphibrach has unstressed syllable followed by stressed syllable, then another unstressed syllable. It's a type of foot in poetry. Now, this one now, then look at amphimesa. Amphimesa has a stress followed by unstressed syllable and another stressed syllable. You see, it's a stress syllable followed by an syllable and a final stress syllable. So how do we define this? An amphibrach is a foot of 3 syllables which is made up of an unstressed followed by a stressed syllable and another unstressed syllable. Because when you see it in your exam, you see them in your exam, either a subjective question basically, and they will ask you question. If you cannot answer the question, then there's a problem. You know, most time we'll keep going through past question, and we are trying to say, if I lay my head on those stuff, I'm going to let you know so that we move on from there. Now, look at this. I've talked about amphimasa. Amphimasa here is a type of foot that comes to play when we have an unstressed, we have a stress followed by unstressed and the final stressed syllable. We are moving forward. We are moving forward. Moving forward. Now, let's look at zugma. Zugma. Zugma is a figure of speech as well. Zugma is a speech as well. Zugma is a figure of speech. Zugma is a figure of speech used when one verb goes to subjects. It's a figure of speech used when one verb, trying to see if I'll get a question for you. One verb goes to subject. Zugma as a figure of speech is used when a verb governs two subjects. How? When one verb. So when you hear some of these statements, try to think, which figure of speech do we have here? Which figure of speech is being stated here? You see, if you go to the bakery and everywhere seems very, and at a point you develop a kind of headache, instead of you to say, while the bread is baking, my head is aching, you're doing repetition. Why not say, the bread is baking, so is my head?